mali na kaagad sa umpisa pa lang. Pero sa amin, these are man-made causes. So, solution to that could also be from man. Ang gagawin natin is, number one, lahat ng, when the national budget, 40% is lost to graft. 50? That's government figures pa, so we make it 70. Then, we already could pinpoint the causes of poverty. For example, may mag-i-invest dito, domestic investor o foreigner. Alam naman natin na kailangan makakuha ng barangay clearance yan. Kung sa barangay pa lang, may padulas na. All these things that we don't like, we know it already. Now, how will we solve it? We solve it by starting with us. If, for example, I'm elected president, the policy is, manggagaling sa akin na hindi ako hihingi ng lagay o bribe o kahit na anong kickback. Dapat malinis yung opisina ng presidente kasi that's where everything starts. Culture starts from the top, cascading below. Kung kunyari yung kabinete niya, siya yung nagtalaga, syempre, kung malinis ang presidente, mahal niya ang taong bayan, magtatalaga yan ng mga malilinis rin. And no longer will be that graft and corruption is the norm. It may be the exception, but it cannot be the norm. In this regime, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo's regime, ang norm is kurakutan, katiwalian. The exception is good people na tahimik pa. Babalik ka rin lang natin. And then it will cascade down. And if, for example, the DILG demands a clean department, then we could expect that the local government officials would conform to that norm until the lowest barangay. So it may sound simple, it may look simple, but what I'm trying to say is, at this day and age, in 2010, we need moral leadership. Moral leadership. Because the problems of this country is a moral problem. And the president should restore the moral order.
On corruption, granted the president only has a 6-year term, but the infrastructure of corruption, payback, kickbacks, and all this is so deeply rooted already. It already starts with the president all the way down to the barangay level. And then you come in, Kapatiran comes in as a part. Okay? But you are not in the entire structure because for sure there will be congressmen who are corrupt who will still be elected to the office, senators who are corrupt who will be elected to office, down to the local government. Within that span of 6 years, what do you think can you do to be able to reverse what has already been so deeply rooted for since the time of Marcos?
Prosecute.
And no president has been able to really reverse it. And instead, it has even gotten worse.
By simply being vulnerable, by just doing what is right, by just knowing what is good and bad, black and white.
But you're going to get resistance at all levels.
Okay lang.
You are not the one passing the law. The one who released the bills and all that will come from Congress, will go to the Senate, and through all of this, there will be people looking out for their best interests.
When a president is just so good baboy against graft, as far as practicable, as far as his hands could get it, then we are communicating a spirit. We are communicating a policy. For example, when he hears that there was a single human rights abuse, and he gets his cell phone and throws it out of disgust, it is communicating a policy. It is communicating a policy. So, the president is 50% executive, 50% symbolic. Everything he does communicates a policy. Now, fighting graft. A lowly traffic enforcer gets lagay. Why? Because he could see that up there are lagays. At kung yun nga, at parati itong nangyayari, at kung yung presidente nga ng Pilipinas, hindi ako pa. I know it because I've been fighting graft in my city. I filed cases in the ombudsman, but let me give you the good news. When somebody fights graft, a message is communicated in the bureaucracy. A message is communicated in the offices that this guy won't tolerate kalokohan. That's the policy. See, the problem in this administration is wala naman policy na ganyan, kaya takot yung mga tao. Takot ang whistleblowers, takot yung mga matitinong tao because kawawa sila, ang umiiral yung baluktot na sistema. But if you have a president who will assure the people that he is clean and he has been clean and he will fight every ounce of graft, I really believe we will have big strides in our fight against corruption. And I would want to believe that in 6 years, it shall have been greatly diminished to the point na we have set the culture. I would want to believe that. And let me tell you this, it is better to try and fail than having failed to try. Kasi ang problema, the problem in this country yun nga, hopelessness among the youth. And apathy, wala nang idealismo. Parating, ba't ka tumatakbo? Wala ka namang pera. Yung para bang, it takes, the reason why is because it takes courage to be idealistic and sacrifice. Ingredients that could change a country, courage and sacrifice. Kaya kung sinabi sa akin, kaya mong labanan yung graft, talagang kaya ko. At lalabanan ko yan. At subukan nyo ako. Now, people may not believe me, but I will always say that. And I am willing to bet my life on it. I did it. If you go to the ombudsman, the cases are still there. There, barangay chairman in Olongapo City, I filed human rights abuses. I really recommended the filing of charges against them. Everything is on record.
Can I add something to corruption? I agree, the infrastructure of corruption in this country is so massive. It almost looks like to anybody who's looking at it, it looks impenetrable. It's almost like it's too much for any one single person to do, including Kapatiran party. But it's also true that we have heard this said a number of times, a journey of 1,000 miles, begin with the first step, And this is the first step that we are trying to make. And also, let me describe to you what corruption is all about in very simple terms. Corruption, to take place, has 4 elements, First, you have the opportunity. You have the incentive or reward for doing it. You have the parties who are allowed to do it. And then you have the absence of a preventive or punishment. So that a lesson that if you want to engage in corruption, then be on notice that if you get caught, this will happen to you. Now, if you would notice that all those 4 elements are in the Philippines, which make corruption, or it has made corruption a cultural thing, So what I'm saying is that we in Kapatiran will address each of those 4 elements. We will address the opportunity, we will address the incentive and reward. We will take away any reward or incentive for a policeman to take photo, for any of these scams that we heard about in the national broadband scandals and all of that. We will make sure that the parties who will be running the policies of our country and managing the economy of our country will all be so imbued with the moral character and integrity so that, corruption to them would smell like a